Genghis Khan remains as quite possibly of history's most famous and significant figure, establishing and driving the Mongol domain, which extended from China to Europe and turned into the biggest adjoining land realm ever. He is praised for his tactical splendor, strict resistance, and lawful code, but at the same time is scandalous for his merciless victories that brought about the passings of millions, the obliteration of incalculable urban communities, and the subjugation of numerous enemies. This video investigates a portion of the stunning ways Genghis Khan treated his slaves and what these activities meant for his domain and the world. Perhaps of the most surprising strategy Genghis Khan utilized was utilizing slaves as human safeguards. Verifiable records uncover the horrid strategy of compelling hostages to walk at the front of his propelling armed force, filling in as a support against foe bolts and lances. This savage technique safeguarded his soldiers actually, as well as imparted dread and terrorizing in his adversaries. During the attack of the Tangut realm of Western Xia in 1209, for instance, Genghis Khan apparently involved around 30,000 caught Chinese troopers as human safeguards, constraining them to persevere through the brunt of the adversary's guards. The attack of the capital saw the awful end of large numbers of these reluctant pawns, their lives forfeited for the vanquisher's desires. Likewise, in 1223, during his mission against the Khwarezmian realm in Focal Asia, Genghis Khan again utilized this ruthless strategy. Great many Muslim prisoners had to act as human safeguards, with some, in any event, experiencing the abhorrent destiny of being attached to slings and sent off into adversary fortresses. The sheer fierceness of such activities highlights the lengths to which Genghis Khan was able to go in quest for triumph. Past its nearby strategic ramifications, Genghis Khan's utilization of human safeguards features more extensive issues about the idea of fighting and the profundities of human remorselessness. It fills in as a chilling sign of the dehumanizing impacts of contention, where people become simple instruments of upper hand, their lives non-essential in the mission for power and triumph. One more stunning part of Genghis Khan's treatment of his slaves was the constrained work they persevered. His slaves were exposed to tiresome errands like digging channels, building streets, and conveying weighty burdens to serve his developing domain. These errands progressed his tactical desires as well as filled in for the purpose of enslavement, a fierce sign of their status as simple belongings under a brutal ruler. Significantly more shocking were the exhibitions of savagery and slaughter arranged for Genghis Khan's diversion. Slaves had to battle each other in fierce challenges or face wild monsters, their lives forfeited for the momentary entertainment of their winner. Such abnormal showcases of force additionally dehumanized the people in question, diminishing them to simple toys according to their savage expert. The profundities of Genghis Khan's debasement are maybe most distinctly shown in his interest for extreme faithfulness, frequently claimed through demonstrations of unspeakable awfulness. Slaves had to carry out unfathomable demonstrations, including the homicide of their own family, as a bent trial of steadfastness or to break their soul. One chilling record portrays the attack of the Khwarezmian city of Otrar in 1219, where Genghis Khan, rankled by the homicide of his representatives, looked for merciless retaliation. He caught the lead representative's child, who was likewise a detainee, and requested the young fellow to execute his own dad prior to taking the child's life too. This significant presentation of force filled in as a horrid sign of the results of resisting the Khan's will. Likewise, during the attack of Nishapur in 1221, Genghis Khan's anger exceeded all logical limitations. After learning of the demise of his #1 child in regulation inside the city walls, he requested a slaughter of unmatched severity. Each living animal, from people to creatures, was butchered aimlessly, leaving the roads red with blood. In a last venture of mercilessness, he constrained his own girl to observe the butcher, guaranteeing that the distress of misfortune would be carved in her memory forever. A third stunning part of Genghis Khan's treatment of his slaves was their sexual double-dealing. Genghis Khan's double-dealing of his slaves reached out into the domain of sexual maltreatment, a terrible part of his rule that highlights his negligence for human pride. His unquenchable desire and practice of polygamy were infamous, with accounts itemizing his ownership of many spouses and mistresses, a considerable lot of whom were effectively taken from vanquished lands. The Khan's sexual predation had no limits, as he conceded his children and commanders the honor of guaranteeing ladies from enslaved lands, further sustaining a culture of generalization and double-dealing. Ladies were treated as simple crown jewels of war, their age, status, or strict connection making little difference to their destiny. They were diminished to property, existing exclusively for the delight and satisfaction of their heartless expert. Genghis Khan's negligence for the independence and mankind of the ladies under his influence is apparent in his eagerness to trade them as gifts or accolades with partners, further solidifying their status as products to be exchanged at his impulse. The Khan's voracious hunger for sexual victory brought about various posterity with his horde accomplices, some of whom would acquire his tradition of triumph or lay out their own lines. An outstanding illustration of Genghis Khan's familial heritage is Kublai Khan, the grandson brought into the world to his association with a Tangut princess. Kublai Khan later rose to unmistakable quality as the organizer behind the Yuan line in China, further solidifying Genghis Khan's hereditary engraving on history. The broad outcomes of Genghis Khan's sexual double-dealing are maybe best delineated by a cutting-edge hereditary review, assessing that roughly 0.5% of the total populace, or around 16 million individuals, can follow their genealogy back to him. This stunning measurement fills in as a sobering sign of the enduring effect of his rule of fear on the political scene of Eurasia, as well as on the hereditary texture of mankind itself. These are only a couple of instances of the stunning things Genghis Khan did to his slaves. However, there are a lot more cases of his savagery and viciousness. In any case, it is essential to recall that he was a dictator as well as a visionary and reformer who brought together the Mongols, expanded their perspectives, and made an enduring heritage. He was a perplexing and disconnected figure who molded the historical backdrop of Asia and Europe, and whose effect is as yet felt today. We genuinely hope that you have gained some new useful knowledge about Genghis Khan and his slaves in this video. Assuming you did, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel.